on government funding. So the clock is ticking to keep the government open, and Republicans are sleepwalking their way through another critical week. A government shutdown, once again, hangs over this chamber and this country like an ugly shadow. So what are we going to do about it? Well, it's up to our Republican colleagues to decide. They're in charge. Democrats know where we stand. We want bipartisan negotiations, input from both sides of the aisle. And we want to undo much of the damage that Trump has inflicted on the American people, particularly when it comes to health care. Leader Jeffries and I have asked Leader Thune and Speaker Johnson on multiple occasions to sit down and talk so we can have a bipartisan agreement and avoid the Republican shutdown. But we've heard nothing for weeks. The Republican silence is concerning, because if they think Democrats are going to show up at the last minute to bail them out with the clock approaching zero, that would be a big mistake on their part. Democrats don't want to see a Republican shutdown. What we want is a bipartisan negotiation, bipartisan bill, where Democrats have input to tangibly undo the carnage Donald Trump has done to America. And make no mistake, the carnage Donald Trump has unleashed upon this country over the last 9 or so months is devastating. He has savaged America's democratic institutions. He has defied the rule of law, defied the order of judges, and directed Russell Vought, an evil man who came up with Project 2025, to steal or cancel congressional-approved funding. Hundreds of billions of dollars illegally blocked for things that Americans want, for cancer research, for programs that aid kids after school, for veterans. That and so much more gone, canceled, dead because of Russell Vought's whim and Donald Trump's desire to just do what he wants, what Vought wants. And of course, let's talk about health care. It is people's livelihoods. And thanks to Donald Trump, the livelihood of tens of millions is being stolen from them in broad daylight. All so Donald Trump can pay for tax breaks for the mega rich. Donald Trump's signature achievement, the one he claims is great, he calls it the big, beautiful bill. Well, this so-called big, beautiful bill, which they won't even name anymore, they're so afraid of the American people knowing what's in it, is systematic starvation of our health care system. Let me repeat that. The so-called big, beautiful bill is systematic starvation of our health care system. That's what Russell Vought has always stood for. That's what he said he'd do. And that's what Trump is aiding and abetting him to do. Republicans want to rebrand their bill. You know, they say, well, Trump said, maybe it was a mistake to call it the big, beautiful bill. That's because they know they're seeing that the American people hate it. But they can change the name. It's not going to change anything. You're not going to get your health care back because they changed the name of a bill that was so mislabeled to begin with, because it sure ain't beautiful. It's ugly. Well, maybe Donald Trump can call it the Starve and Die Act. That would be more accurate than big and beautiful. That's what happens when health insurance is taken away from you. That's what happens when SNAP is taken away. People starve, and it's estimated that people will actually die, because if you can't get health care and you can't get prevention, life expectancies of people go down. And alarmingly soon, America, the big, beautiful bill is going to get even worse for you. In just a few weeks, unless Congress acts, millions of Americans will start getting letters in the mail telling them their health insurance costs is about to go through the roof. Hundreds of dollars, thousands in some cases. That's because the ACA premium tax credits will expire by the end of this year. People who get covered through the ACA, and there are tens of millions, will see their premiums spike by an average of 18%. There are millions, may not, depends on how you count it. Health insurance premiums going up by 18% because of Republican inaction. We tried 3 times to get them to repeal it in the so-called big, beautiful bill, and 3 times they refused. This would be a nightmare scenario for the American people. on October 1st getting notice that your health care costs will go up 18% for millions who are on ACA. At a time of rising costs, as we have seen, at a time of a weakening job market, to then compound the injury by making you pay a lot more for health care, it's outrageous. And Republicans, again, blocked it 3 times. We've heard plenty of lip service from Leader Thune and the other side about doing something to preserve these tax credits. But now Leader Thune says Republicans will walk away from the table and sit on their hands as Americans' health insurance shoots up by 18%. Every Republican in this Senate chamber will be responsible, because all we need is a handful of them to join with us in making sure that it's extended and these costs don't go up. And this also points to a larger theme. The Republican agenda is a profoundly broken agenda. It's a stunning betrayal of the trust the American people put in Donald Trump to fight for their interests. So I want to be clear that Republicans, our Republican senators, in the face of so much damage to our country, cannot just expect Democrats to bail them out and sign on the dotted line. What we will do is stand ready to meet Republicans and the Republican leaders face to face and negotiate a way to undo so much of Donald Trump's carnage. That means we need to have real input into undoing a lot of the carnage that's been done by this administration. It's clear Democrats don't want a shutdown, but Republicans who say they want to keep the government open have to show they're serious through their actions and not just craft a bill in the dark of night in a room and say, take it or leave it, because that'll mean there'll be a Republican shutdown. They need to work and they need to show up and work with us. That's the only way to get it done and to avoid a shutdown.